I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I don't want to sit through hours of cutscenes or wade through repetitive quests just to play a game. Remember the good old days when Princess Peach would be captured by Bowser and Mario would set out to rescue her, and then you'd be jumping under boxes looking for a mushroom, all within the space of 5 minutes? Nintendo remembers. Have you ever wanted an open world with near absolute freedom that does not hold your hand but trusts you to figure things out on your own? Once again, Nintendo has you covered. It's true, the Switch at this point is a last-gen console. The PlayStation 5 is the dominant console this cycle, and this is where most of us go for all the latest blockbuster releases. Aside from when my wife wants to play Mario together, the Switch in this house doesn't see that much action. That is until I just spent a month in hospital, with a brand new stack of Switch games to pass the time. I already knew that the Switch was capable of great games. I only finished Mario Odyssey last year, and I often think about playing it again. What I didn't know is just how consistently great the Switch game catalogue really is. And so this is what we are going to be talking about today. With the Switch 2 on the horizon and backwards compatibility being a big feature, there's probably never been a better time to dive into that Nintendo magic. I'm not going to talk too much about the portability or the social benefits of the little console that could, because we all know that already. What I am going to talk about are some of the phenomenal examples of single-player goodness you can find on the Switch today, as well as some of the tricks they use to get around hardware limitations. How do you feel about long-running game series, made by seasoned experts, with gameplay that expertly walks the line between innovative and intuitive, and that actually feels fun? The likes of Mario and Metroid have been around for as long as they have because they usually are that good. They reinvent themselves, but they somehow manage to remember their identity. They push the envelope just far enough, but without alienating their core fanbase. Honestly, so many developers could learn a lot from these guys. For those who haven't yet had the pleasure, Super Mario Wonder is a classic 2D adventure with plenty of new gimmicks to keep it fresh, tons of new challenging gauntlets for you to run, and hidden within every level a full-on acid trip that completely changes the game. And yet, every second of this game is so perfectly intuitive. It's tough in places, sure, but you will rarely struggle to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And I say this as someone who completed it start to finish during chemotherapy sessions. I fondly remember Kirby being a little dude who could inhale his enemies and then use them as projectiles. He does still do that, but now he can also inhale special powers, kinda like the different suits that Mario can wear. I mean, who knew this little guy would be so handy with a sword? Or a vending machine? Or an entire freaking car? The Metroid games have never been on my radar before, so I went in with zero expectations. But even so, I never would have guessed what was in store for me. Despite being a space-based adventure with a badass mech suit, it's just you out there. There are no guiding voices in your ear here. It's just you and the mystery in front of you, and the result is a surprisingly oppressive environment. It looks great and handles really well, but also the atmosphere in Prime Remastered is downright eerie. Kinda like old school Time Splitters, where you unravel said mystery through text logs, but also there are creepy aliens, and sometimes you can turn into a marble. So maybe not exactly like Time Splitters then. These are just a few examples of Nintendo exclusive titles that look great, handle brilliantly, and above all else, are just tons of fun. You don't need to sit through hours of dialogue before you are unleashed on the game proper. Within minutes, you are in control, and as the magic takes hold, those minutes just keep on turning into hours. Nier Automata is one of my favourite games of all time, in no small part because of its exceptional combat. So whenever I see the Platinum Games logo, it will immediately pique my interest. Enter Astral Chain. There I was, one day into my hospital stay. I was chock full of meds with an evening to kill, so I defaulted to logic and chose my first game alphabetically. What followed was a brilliant mashup between a stylish cyberpunkian detective game and supernatural combat. This game is incredibly anime, and you probably won't find it hard to spot the plot twists. But all the same, it is a joy to play both in and outside of combat. Also, the music is freaking excellent. You know when you fire up a new game and immediately lose yourself in it, and before you know it you've been playing for like 3 hours? Honestly, this is quite rare for me with most AAA games now, but with Astral Chain, I strongly suspect I would have played it all night, if it wasn't for my lovely cancer treatment eventually taking its toll and making me fall asleep with the Switch still in my hands. When it comes to what the Switch can offer exclusively, I have yet to be disappointed. If you are someone who is underwhelmed by homogeneous game design, tired of the same olds, desperate for intuitive and solid gameplay, and longing for a game that does not feel the need to exposition you into an early grave, then you owe it to yourself to pick up your Switch again. And I haven't even gotten to Tears of the Kingdom yet.
Crunch it up. Now's your chance. Ready? Good boy.
Whilst the Switch is technically a less powerful machine than the ones it sits next to in your home, it has never been held back by its lower processing power. That Nintendo magic has found its way into your living room time and again, despite this diminutive console being less of a powerhouse than its peers, owing largely to some very clever tricks used by the developers. Starting with the obvious, we have stylized art direction. Instead of chasing hyper-realism, many Switch games embrace features like bold colours, cel shading, and clean, simple textures. Tears of the Kingdom uses a sort of painted art style instead of ultra-detailed textures. Super Mario Wonder prioritizes animation and personality whilst keeping things crisp and vibrant. And once again, coming back to Astral Chain, one of my biggest happy surprises on the Switch, cel shading and anime stylings equals a very slick cyberpunk aesthetic. Developers also rely on tricks like dynamic lighting, bloom effects, and simple but effective shading to create depth and atmosphere. Metroid Prime Remastered is a great example. It uses pre-baked lighting and carefully placed reflections to make environments look a lot more detailed than they actually are. And finally, we have resolution scaling, which is where the game adjusts the resolution on the fly to maintain a smoother frame rate. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 uses this during battles to keep the action from stuttering, and Bayonetta 3 also pushes frame rates over visual fidelity during combat to keep things smooth and snappy. These games often do falter outside of combat, but this was the trade-off, and I will personally take smoother combat over exploration any day of the week. Now, before we wrap this video up, let's look at Tears of the Kingdom. Saving the best for last, Tears of the Kingdom is my first ever Zelda game, and it frequently leaves me lost for words. It kind of gave me Elden Ring vibes at first, another game light on story and big on freedom. But I am so often in awe of just how much freedom this game gives you. Sure, the weapon durability is annoying at first, but that was before I realised I could fuse basically anything to anything else. And then you have all of the shrines and all their clever little puzzles, aided along by Link and his reality-defying Winter Soldier arm. Seriously, I have never known a game give me the tools to try pretty much anything I can think of like this before. I could not be bothered working out how to get to this raised area, so I just made a massive plank to walk up instead. And the attention to detail is exceptional. Even in the tutorial area, you're introduced to the dangers of excessive cold. Either dress for the occasion or eat some spicy food. It's so simple when you think about it, and yet such a rare thing to see in a game. This game is just full of simple but satisfying touches. Tears of the Kingdom is a harder game than I thought it would be, but this just encourages me to be more creative. I mean, I could fight that gang of enemies with a melee weapon, or I could create something ridiculous and just annihilate them. Full disclosure, I have previously stated that the need to cook food was something that I found immersion breaking. But this time around, it just feels like another part of the experience. I can only apologise to Link that it took me this long for his adventure to click with me. If you are looking for a game that captures the very best of everything we have discussed today, then you owe it to yourself to try Tears of the Kingdom. Just like there isn't any one reason why it can be easy to forget that we own a Switch, there are so many why returning to the Switch can be such a pleasant surprise. The hybrid and social factors are obvious, but then there's the sheer variety of games available here that you won't find anywhere else. Long-running Nintendo exclusives rarely seem to miss a step, usually prioritizing gameplay quality over all other factors. When you pick up a game that feels fun to play, this is why. Put simply, the Switch is still a fantastic gaming experience, however you choose to consume it. So what about you guys? When was the last time you picked up your Switch? Do you ever take it with you on the go? Or have you always been a hardcore fan and advocate for all these exclusives? Let me know down in those comments. I'd love to hear about exclusive Switch games that I haven't talked about today. Don't forget, if you'd like to support my channel further, you can join my YouTube membership. For just £2 a month, you get access to bonus content, acknowledgement in the credits, and early access to some of my videos. Also, my Discord is free to join and open to anyone. Thank you as always for watching and supporting my channel, you guys. See you on the next one.